Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Jay, and today we are gonna look at a damn handsome Tangram Vector. Model number, are you ready for this? TG3003A1. So let's start out. I want to show you guys some of the features. Then we'll go over what I like about this knife, some of the potential deal breakers, and now make sure that you stick around till the end, guys, because I will display on the screen for you the full specs of this knife. This is the Tangram Vector, and as you know, guys, Tangram is a subsidiary of Kizer Cutlery. So this knife is an actual Kim Ning design, and he has designed knives for Kizer like the Uprising and the Shoal, just to name a couple of them. The Vector, though, is a manual action plunge lock with a blade that's riding on bronze washers, and the deployment you can see is accomplished with these thumb studs here. If we look at the blade, you can see it is 2.89 inches long, and that's going to be 2.5 millimeters thick. The blade steel is a Kudo 440, very similar to 440C. The handle is 3.75 inches long, giving the Vector really just a fantastic blade to handle ratio. Now, thickness of that handle, it is under a ½ inch at 0.49. And now the closed width, so how much room that this is going to take up in your pocket? 1.27 inches, so that is pretty good. Now, if we flip this guy over, you can see it is open construction with just the two barrel spacers. Let me go ahead and grab the scale so we can see how much this is going to weigh you down. All right, let's see how much this little monster weighs. Pretty good, 3.3 ounces, which is going to be roughly the equivalent of 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, only 4 AA batteries, and it is also going to be the same weight, approximately, as the Benchmade Mini Crooked River. Now, part of the reason that they're able to keep that weight down, if you look inside there, yep, both liners are actually skeletonized. So why don't we go ahead and I'm going to bring in a couple other knives just for comparison's sake so you guys can see. We'll start out with the Spyderco Native 5. How about the Kershaw Dividend? And let's do another Kershaw. How about the Skyline? And we got to get a Benchmade in there. This is going to be the Mini Freak from Benchmade. All right, why don't we very quickly go through what I really like about the Tangram Vector. And we're going to start out with the, with the blade, which happens to be, it's a flat ground drop point. And yes, it is a recurve edge with a really nice satin finish. There's only 2 body screws on this really good looking handle. I love this handle. I love all the curves. I love the contoured shape. I just love it. Now, they must have this plunge lock just dialed in perfectly because I'm unable to shake this open. I even tried upside down, and I'm sure also part of that is because the blade, I mean, it's a smaller blade, so it's lighter. I really like the thumb studs. Specifically, they're nicely proportioned to the rest of the knife. Let's check the centering, which I believe is dead on. Well done. Now, as it sits right now, this pivot screw, it's pretty darn loose, and, oh, sorry guys, there is absolutely no blade play whatsoever. And did you notice the noise, or should I say the lack thereof, when opening and closing the blade? Listen, listen. Now, because these scales are contoured, let's see if you guys can kind of see that. Yep. They do have kind of like a slight contour. So it really does make for a very, very comfortable grip. And you can see, I mean, this is a small knife, and I am able to fit, I wear medium-sized gloves. Now I'm able to fit all of my fingers on the handle. Now, it is tight, but I can fit them all. And they did go ahead and give us a sharpening choil. Yay! The pocket clip. Now, I like that the clip has actually been scaled down to just to match the overall size of the knife. And as usual, unfortunately, there is some bad that is going to follow the good, and we'll start out with some of the potential deal breakers. Now, these are not necessarily deal breakers all for myself, just ones that I could, some potential issues. First, we'll start out with the action, which is really not that good. With the plunge lock, it does not fall. I really gotta to kind of get it to close. And now remember, I have this pivot screw really, really loose, and still the action is really not that good. Opening it is not too bad, but closing it is terrible. Just terrible. There is absolutely no traction anywhere on these scales. And you might see some of that, those grooved lines. Say, well, wait, Jay, there's some milled lines in there. Those have to provide some traction. Well, no, they don't at all. Yeah, there is no traction on these aluminum scales whatsoever. And in the wintertime, having dry hands, oh yeah, I've almost launched this thing a couple times by just trying to deploy the blade. No jimping anywhere. No jimping. This knife really could have used a little bit of jimping. The balance, now the balance is off. Let's see if I can get it to balance. So, okay, so it should be right about here. See my index finger? And it actually balances back here. Yeah. So it is a little bit handle heavy. We talked about the clip just for a second a little bit ago, and I need to mention that, well, you can see it is not a deep carry clip, and it is just one position. So yeah, us lefties out of luck again. Now, when I took this out of the package, there was a ridiculous amount of oil from the factory on this thing. I mean ridiculous. Let me show you, see if you guys can see it here on the plunge, on the button for the plunge lock. Yeah, every time, okay, so I'll take the rag. Oh, that's another thing, they give you a rag. They give you this giant polishing cloth. Look at the size of that. That's huge. Yeah, a little bit of sarcasm. But yeah, so I'm taking the rag that they had included, and I'll wipe off the button lock. And then after I deploy it about once or twice, you know, opening and closing it, then I check the button again, and yeah, there's oil. So there is just a ton of oil on this thing. And I know, I mean, I'm sure part of the reason is to try and compensate for that terrible action, because it really is bad. The price, $45. Can you believe that? $45. That is too much especially considering if you look at any of the other Tangram models, those typically like 30, 35, $45. I mean, that is just way, way too much for this knife. Which is going to lead us into, well, my recommendation. And unfortunately, guys, you know, I can't recommend this at $45. I mean, you can get a knife with D2 steel for around the same price. And let me show you what I mean by that. I recently reviewed this, the Bestech Lion D2. This can be had for $40 to $50. D2. Or another knife that I just recently reviewed, the Stat Gear Ausis. $50, $5 more than this. This is a Kudo 440 D2. So yeah, there is just absolutely no value here. None at all. Even though, and you know what, I hate to say it because I really do like the overall design. I like the blade, I like the handle, but the aesthetics alone are not enough to carry this, especially not at friggin' $45. Not at all. So you guys don't go away because well, you should be looking at the specs right now. So pause and read. And don't forget, guys, hey, click on that subscribe button, would you? If you're looking for knife reviews that get right to the point. Thanks, you guys, for stopping by. And I will see you at the next video. Hey, you guys take care, okay?